to be with you all today on the auspicious occasion of Guru Purnima, and I feel so humbled to have been asked to speak today. Thank you. On my drive here today, I found myself behind a car that had a bumper sticker that said, "God loves you, no exceptions." I thought that was a very sweet message for all of us. So today I would like to share with you my absolute favorite quote from Baba and how that has become sort of a guiding force in my life. Implant in your heart the following. 1. Do not forget God. 2. Do not put faith in the world around you. And 3. Do not be afraid. Baba says, "I have come to light the lamp of love in your hearts, to see that it shines day by day with added luster. I have not come on behalf of any exclusive religion. I have come to tell you of this unitary faith, this spiritual principle, this path of love, this virtue of love, this duty of love, this obligation to love." Sai Baba teaches us practical spirituality. No matter what your religious or spiritual background, Sai Baba's teachings will apply to you. And we have seen how these teachings enrich us, guide us, protect us, and bless us. The Bible says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." In times of darkness and of doubt, of fear and uncertainty, Baba's words will always lead us where we need to be. It may not be where we want to be or where we thought we would be, but it will always, without doubt, be where we need to be. Do not forget God. I always enjoy hearing about how people have come to know Baba, so I thought I would share a little bit about how I came to know him. And I feel I really lucked out because I was born to very loving parents who knew of Swami before my birth. But we all know that that's not really luck, that no one can come to know a Baba unless he wills it. In fact, Baba says, "Not a single blade of grass can quiver in the wind unless I will it." Just think about that for a minute. Not a single blade of grass can quiver in the wind unless he wills it. So all that we see in the world is his play, his Leela, and we are fortunate just to be part of it. So my parents first came to know of Baba in 1973, and at that time they were living in Manipal, Karnataka, in India. And they'd heard about a family in whose home miracle after miracle were occurring. Vibhuti, half an inch thick, manifesting on photos. The entire photo would be covered except for Baba's hands and his face. And the family would graciously share stories of all the miracles that they had experienced. And so I asked my father, I said, "But what was it that made you believe?" And he said to me, "Tina, how could you not believe?" And so the following year, they made their first of many trips to visit him. And in those days, and those of you who have been to Puttaparthi know what an incredible this experience might have been. There were only 4 rows for darshan. 4 rows, that's it. So one darshan, my mom was there. She was seated in the 3rd row, which might as well be the 1st row, right? So as Baba walked past, he made some type of motion with his hand, and then he just continued on. And suddenly she felt something fall into her lap. But he had walked on, and it took her a minute to find it in the folds of her sari. And when she found it, it was a chocolate caramel candy, or a toffee, as candies are known in India sometimes. So she showed it to everyone around her. Of course, they wanted to see. They said, "Did you get a ring? Did you get a pendant?" And it's a candy, piece of candy. So she walked out of darshan, and she was stopped by a woman who said, "Did Baba give you a toffee today in darshan?" And she said, "Yes." She said she was holding on really tightly to that. She didn't want anything to happen to it. And this woman said, "That's for you. Don't give it to anyone. Make sure you eat it. Baba gave that to you to bless you with a child." And so my mom said at that time, that wasn't on her radar at all. So she just said, okay, she enjoyed the toffee and went on. About 2 years later, I was born, and I'll give away my age. That was 1977. And when I was 15 months old, my parents decided to move back to the States with me. And they wanted to get Baba's blessings before they left, because they didn't know if and when they would ever be able to return. And so prior to traveling, and again back in 1977, it was not easy traveling through rural India. It was not easy traveling with a toddler. And they said, let's make sure Baba's there in Puttaparthi. So they said, yes, yes, he's here. They went, and when they got there, Baba was not there. They had a 4-day window in which they could stay, and then they had to leave. So darshan after darshan, they sat, and nothing happened. And my mom was so worried about where would we stay, how do I sterilize bottles, how do I prepare milk for my baby, and the Divine Mother and Father is always taking care of us. They ended up getting a room next to a couple that had a kitchen, and they were more than happy to help with bottles and food and all the little day-to-day things. So Baba returned finally to Prashanti, and my parents were hoping to receive his blessings before they moved to America. But then again, darshan after darshan went by, nothing was happening, and my mom said she started to get angry, almost doubtful that you say you're the Lord of the universe, and it's really hard to get here. And we're here with this little baby, and you've not acknowledged us at all. I mean, don't you know we're here? Don't you know we're waiting for you? So finally it was their last darshan. And Baba came out, and my mom and I were sitting in the front row, and she said I was standing, so just 15 months old, not very tall, and she said I was standing. She made me stand like this, and Baba just came out and walked right on by. And she said, my mom said her heart just fell. She was so disappointed. And he walked by, and then he turned around, and he walked right back to her. And he patted me on my head, and he looked at me and he said, good, very good. And then he looked straight at her, straight into her eyes, and he said, how are you, Toffee? So each of us is destined to have our own unique relationship with God. And this is a relationship that should be nurtured and cultivated so that it will grow and blossom. God's love for us is infinite, unwavering, immeasurable, and without exception. Baba says, take one step towards me, I'll take 100 towards you. Shed one tear, I'll wipe 100 away. All he asks of us in return is our love. God is for everyone. Baba says, all of mankind is my family. There is no one in the world who does not belong to me. All are mine. They may not call out my name, but they are still mine. I shall not give you up, even if you keep afar. I shall not forsake even those who deny me. I have come for all. Do not put faith in the world around you. So if we don't put faith in the world around us, as Baba says, where do we put faith? In ourselves. We must have faith in ourselves, recognize and remember the divinity that is inherent in all of us. Swami says that the only difference between him and us is that he knows he's divine. Without faith in ourselves, we cannot develop unwavering faith in God. And when we deepen faith in ourselves, we will cultivate and grow our faith in God. And as we strengthen our faith in God, we will deepen our faith in the divinity that exists in all living beings. So how do we begin to develop confidence and faith in ourselves? What do we do when others tell us or ask of us? So if your God truly exists, why does he allow there to be so much suffering in the world? Why doesn't he do anything to protect the innocent? How do you explain that to others and to ourselves? The answer is, we can't. The entire universe operates in accordance with divine will. God is the source and sustenance for all creation, and we cannot question or explain divine will. Swami says, why do you waste your time and energy to explain me? Can a fish measure the sky? If I had come as Lord Vishnu with 4 arms, they would have put me in a circus. And if I'd come as a man, like every other man, who would listen to me? So I had to come in this human form with infinite powers and wisdom. So how do we begin to develop faith in ourselves? One way is through seva. Swami says seva expresses the divinity hidden in man. It broadens one's heart, it destroys narrow-mindedness, and it gives delight. The evil qualities and tendencies in us can be driven away through service. Baba says, if you lift the hand to serve, to help, to console, to encourage another man, you are lifting it for God. For in every man is God. Be of service to others, for that is giving yourself to me. For whatever you give, I will repay you tenfold. Divine guidance is always at the side of the giver. Yes, I will give to those who give of themselves untold joy and bliss. And what is more, I will lead them by the hand along those petal-strewn paths of eternal joy. Every deed performed, do it in my name. Every person who passes near your path, give them the sweetness of your smile. Give them the warmth of your love. Extend your hand as I extend mine to you. Each day, numerous opportunities for seva will present themselves to us, and it is up to us to recognize them for the blessings that they are. Every minute spent in selfless seva is time spent earning God's love and grace. Baba says, serve man until you see God in all men. As we cultivate faith in ourselves, we will strengthen and deepen our faith in God. Imagine a leaf and a rock, side by side. Both are the same when the air is calm and still. But what happens when the leaf blows, when the wind blows? The leaf is at the mercy of the wind, right? Flying away and changing directions every minute. But the rock remains steady, steadfast, firm. Our faith should be like the rock, unwavering and absolute, no matter what is happening around us. Do not be afraid. These 4 words just resonate with me so deeply. And if there's one thing I will hope you will take home today, it's that God is with us at all times. Sometimes he's next to us, holding our hand. Sometimes he's in front of us, leading the way. Sometimes he's behind us, following. And in the most difficult times, he's carrying us. So 15 years ago, I graduated from medical school and I began my training in dermatology at St. Lucia University. And while I was very grateful to be able to pursue this specialty in medicine, I was less than thrilled about returning to my hometown to live. I was 25 years old, newly married, a young adult, and I was hoping that I would end up maybe going somewhere more glamorous for this period of my life. But again, divine will had it differently for me. And I didn't realize at that time what a blessing it was going to be for me to be back in the same city as my parents. So about a year later, my father at that time was 62 years old, so very young. And he started to experience some mild chest pain. And he was found to have very severe 5-vessel disease of his heart. And he needed urgent open heart surgery. And I was very fortunate. I had a very understanding chairman of my department who allowed me that time to be off with my parents. And had I lived in another city, I might not have been able to be there for them. So his surgery went smoothly, and as expected, he was to spend a few days recovering in the hospital. And my sister and I took turns just staying with him all the time. And she was there one day, so I took a little break and just walked around the hospital. And those of you who know me know I enjoy shopping, and I found myself in the hospital gift shop. So I was just walking around there and looking around, and I came upon a little display. And there were tiny little letters, decorated letters, like the kind you would put and spell out somebody's name. And so I was looking at the display, and I looked at the top, and there were 4 letters there. T-I-N-A. So I looked around thinking maybe somebody was there that I knew, and they did that. No one was there. So the next day, I go back to the gift shop, and all the letters were gone. So my father was sent home, and he recovered well over the next 6 weeks, but then suddenly he had another episode of chest pain. And he had a scan which showed that all those new vessels had closed off, and it was as though he'd never had surgery. So his surgeon said, well, we can do a second surgery, but there's no guarantee the same thing won't happen. And I just felt very helpless because I couldn't do anything for him. So a good friend of mine just called to check in, and she said, well, didn't you know there's a doctor there at Washington University? He specializes in treating people who've had prior surgeries that failed. And so I called the doctor's office and to make an appointment for my dad, and I was very hopeful because I thought, well, this doctor can help him. And unfortunately, they didn't accept my dad's insurance, and so he couldn't have the surgery at that hospital. So I spoke with several members of the representatives at the insurance company, and we're talking for this procedure probably close to $100,000, so nothing that you can pay out of pocket. So I decided to write the insurance company a letter saying if they would make an exception and allow my dad to have this surgery. So they said they would review it, and I still remember exactly where I was standing when they paged me. This is back in the day of pagers, when those were more popular than cell phones. And I remember where I was standing, they paged me back, and my stomach was just doing somersaults, and I could barely dial the number to call them back. But they granted the exception, and they let him have the procedure. And so now, 13 years later, he's doing well, and he's actually the president of the St. Louis Psy Center. So how often do we let fear, doubt, and uncertainty bring us needless sadness and anxiety and uneasiness? Swami says, why fear when I am here? When the Lord of the universe is by our side, we have nothing to fear. So recently, my younger daughter, Nina, and I, we were getting ready to leave the house, and I think it was raining, or it just rained, and she said, Mom, I'm so scared of thunderstorms. And so I just bent down, and I looked at her, and I just blew in her face like that. And she blinked, and she laughed, and I said, Nina, what just happened? And she said, well, you blew in my face, and I blinked. And I said, well, did you have to think about that? Did you have to think about blinking? And she said, no, I just blinked. And I said, Nina, your eyelids closed to protect your eyes. And I said, you didn't have to think about it. They just did it automatically on their own. And I said, that's the same way Baba protects us. It's automatic, without us asking. And I told her, you don't have to be afraid of thunderstorms or anything else. And Swami says, no matter where you go, always do your duty as you see it. And know that I will be there, inside you, guiding you every step of the way. In the years to come, you will experience me in many different manifestations of my form. You are my own, dearer than dear to me. I will protect you as the eyelids protect the eyes. Sai Baba calls us Prema Swarupa, right? Every discourse he begins with Prema Swarupa, embodiments of love. We are all manifestations of his divine love and grace. Our very nature is love. God and His grace are with us at all times. Swami says, I will never leave you, and you can never leave me. From this point on, do not hanker after anything. Do your duty with unwavering love, seeing all as God. Be patient. In time, everything will be given to you. Be happy. There is no need to worry about anything. Whatever is experienced, whatever happens, know that this avatar has willed it so. There is no force on instant that can delay. There's no force on earth that can delay for even an instant the mission for which this avatar has come. So you all probably know this was the last photo taken of Swami in public, his last darshan to us in his physical form. I want to thank you all. What a blessing it has been to be here and with you on this day. And I would like to close with an excerpt from a poem written by our beloved Bhagwan. Children of immortality, remember that you are created in my image and likeness, perfect. Live up to this image in every way, in all planes. Live like masters. Walk this earth with your heads held high, your spirits soaring, your hearts open to love, and believe in yourself and God within you. Then all will go well. Rest in my love. Let all that you have been through in your many lives up to this day melt away in my redeeming light. Children of my being, dissolve your sorrows and fears in me. Let me efface all of your karma. You are now my radiant, glorious self, no longer separate from me. Melt with me, merge with me, become me. Sai Ram.